I feel like a lot of people play up to this point and quit, Kenny. I don't know what it is, but I think I think every game has that area where, like, everyone casually got at least there. And I feel like this is the spot. Like, everyone remembers the Sand Sea and this. I don't know if it's necessarily the boredom point, but it's more of like, I've gotten the gist of the game at this point. Ow. I thought that had a range, but apparently not. I would say neither. I would say it's this for the rest of the game. I mean, not really. Like, getting... Like, especially the post-game in this game really picks up, but... I mean, it's just more of this, like... Plus more strategy and harder enemies and more abilities and stuff, but... It's not like there's some core gameplay mechanic that we haven't seen yet. It's this for the rest of the game. It's weird though. I kind of agree with Big for Lil. Like, this seems like it's a really boring part of the game. It's like this big desert area and then this big desert temple, and it's all kind of the same. But at the same time, I remember this area fondly. I remember, like, grinding in this area for a long time and getting big chains and seeing if I could kill the elementals outside, and I remember that wall boss being a jerk. I remember struggling with him. I think I maybe struggled with him as a kid because I tried to beat the first one instead of going through the door. Yeah, and the music isn't great either. I mean, it's definitely not like Final Fantasy level. It's just typical desert temple music. And this dungeon's also pretty confusing, I think. And yeah, not exactly this part, but the part right before it is where the story gets annoying to me. Like, I don't think it's bad yet, but I specifically remember that scene on the airship where I first was like, I'm starting to hate these characters. Like, I was starting to hate Bon at that point. And for me, at least, the story, like, started to go downhill from here. No, you're fine, Big. Thank you for asking, though. But yeah, I mean, I guess in a way, this is kind of the boredom point, where, like, if you're not into the game, this is probably where you quit. You may have given it, like, a fair shake up to this point. But then if it hasn't grabbed you at this point, this is where you start to feel like, okay, this is just the rest of the game now. Think of the bit, Tori. To say no. Wait. Okay. Ghost! It's a ghost! It's an ambush! Oh my. Oh, I'm slowed. Oh my god, they slowed us, they oiled us. These guys are not screwing around. killed one at least. Oh wait, I killed them both. Holy moly. Is this gonna take us back now? Oil makes fire do more damage to you. I feel like there was maybe a better way to do this than to have all these teleport stones, but I guess it's better than nothing. I don't know if I could ever learn Japanese, at least not... I mean, I'm sure I could if I really put my effort into it, but... I took Spanish for 5 years, and... it was just so hard to learn without living in the country. I felt like I just learned vocabulary forever. I could just look at a newspaper article and tell you generally what it was about, but I never felt like I could really speak it. There was never a moment where I felt like I could actually hold conversation. It was always just, I need this thing. How do I ask for this thing? Never felt like I could actually, like, just freely talk in Spanish. It's just a bunch of vocabulary. So without, like, moving to Japan or moving to Mexico or moving to a country, I don't feel like I could ever really learn the language. A lot of kids that learn second languages for real, I feel like it's because someone else in their household speaks it. But I don't know, I feel like some of the other kids in my class, they were able to, like, kinda speak it. A lot better than I could. Yeah, it always felt like I was learning the academics of Spanish language, not how to speak it, if that makes sense. I understood, like, the concepts of grammar. I feel like I would have had a better chance going to Spain in, like, passing a Spanish test than speaking it to someone. You know? Like, I understand your language, but I can't speak it. I could fit in a Spanish class. Oh, I got different stuff that time. Or no, never mind. Those are two different. Those are 3 different chests. They're just in the same spot. But having said that, I'm glad I took all those years of Spanish, because I can actually use it, like, in a professional environment to understand generally what people want, or, you know, maybe even an emergency situation. So, like, it's a good skill to have, but I just never really felt like I truly learned the language. And yeah, I feel like it goes so much further if you learn it earlier. I learned it in high school. At that point, it's like much harder. I wonder why they don't. I'd have to ask my wife. I wonder why they don't teach like foreign languages earlier in curriculum. It might just be because other stuff's more important. But like if I had started learning Spanish in like 2nd grade, I bet you it would have gone a lot smoother. Isn't that what other countries do with English? Like I know a lot of foreign countries, they learn English as well. Don't they learn it earlier? Yeah, but it's been pretty proven that you learn language better when you're younger. I'm not exactly sure why. But, yeah, almost certain that's a thing. Yeah, see, that makes so much more sense. Yeah, see, we don't even get the option to learn foreign languages until like high school, middle school. For me, it was high school. And I could only do Spanish, French, or Latin. And for whatever reason, Latin was kind of looked at as like the stupid one. Like, if you don't actually want to learn a foreign language, you can do Latin. That was kind of the mentality we had. Well, like I said, when kids grow up in a multilingual household, they tend to pick up both pretty quick, from what I understand. It's just more natural, I guess. I honestly should have taken Latin, because at the time I was still thinking about being an English major. I think Latin would have helped me more than Spanish. The one thing nice about Spanish, though, is you learn how stupid the English language is. Like, almost everything I learned in Spanish, I was like, so why is it like this in English? And my Spanish teacher was like, because English is stupid. That was pretty much the answer to everything. It really does feel like a lot of what they did in English was just to make things different and not better. Like everything from sentence structure to like... Oh, I see what I was supposed to do. That's alright. Everything to like sentence structure, to like the way adjectives and nouns and verbs, to like punctuation. It feels like they changed everything just for the sake of changing it. My favorite thing about Spanish is how the punctuation is at the beginning and the end of the sentence. I always hate when I'm, like, reading to my kids, and I'm halfway through a sentence, and then I realize it's supposed to be an exclamation mark. Then you have to do that awkward thing where you, like, raise your voice halfway through the sentence. I do not like green eggs and ham! I do not like them saying I am! In Spanish, you don't have that problem. You already saw the exclamation mark. I don't know what's up. Start to sound confident, and then you have to, like, reel it back because it's a question. Yeah, I really like how Korean sounds, too. I was never really heard much Korean until, like, after college. And, like, I always liked the ways Korean sounds. My aunt is Chinese, but she speaks like 8 different languages. And I could never understand her her Chinese. Like, obviously I can't understand it because it's Chinese, but I also could barely figure out that she was speaking Chinese. Like, it's so fast and so, like, punctual that, like, half the time I couldn't even realize that was the language she was speaking. I feel like Chinese would be really hard to learn. My aunt is like a superhero. She's crazy. She speaks like 8 different languages. She is like... She's a scientist. I don't remember what type of scientist she is. But, like, when COVID happened, she was, like, called in by everyone to, like, help figure it out. Like, she's that high up on the ladder to where she's the one they call, you know? And, like, I think she knows the languages because she used to be a translator. But, yeah, she's like a superwoman. If I had the fraction of intelligence she had, I'd be doing good for myself. Like, all I know is that my uncle never had to work. He did, but he never had to. That's the kind of money she's making. Yeah, they're a very interesting couple. He is like, I don't even know how to. He is an incredibly introverted person. He's like big computer geek. He used to work for Microsoft at one point. He lives out in California, and he worked at, like, the main Microsoft office there. And, I think he worked in, like, security or something. But, he's, like, a big introvert, and apparently he went to, like, I don't know the whole story, but he went to China, Hong Kong, for something, and met her there. And they got married, and she came back to the States. Like, literally met a Chinese woman in Hong Kong, and they got married. Isn't that, like, wild? Like, I don't know what kind of game he had, especially being such an introvert, but, like, you go to Hong Kong, don't even speak the language, and you meet some, like, super genius scientist girl. Somehow bring her back. That's impressive. I think at the time she wasn't a scientist. She's probably doing a translator thing back then. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he went to Hong Kong for like Microsoft or whatever, and she was his translator. Then they hit it off. I'm gonna have to ask him. Now I'm curious. I never did really like ask. Kind of an awkward question to ask. Yeah, pretty interesting. How do you say, wanna grab a cup of joe? It's not really, I mean, asking someone how they met their wife isn't the most awkward question. But we're also not that close. And like, we don't see each other super often. So usually we're just talking about other things. Like at this point, we really usually just meet at like family reunions. Or if like something's going on with the family and they come out, because they did live in California, and I think they recently moved. So they were really far away. They only came in when something very special was happening. So it just didn't really come up in conversation. Well, it's the first question you might ask a couple, but not like your aunt and uncle. If it was like a friend group, then maybe. You don't really ask your uncle how they met your aunt that often. No, they don't have any kids. So nice having Reyes and Kira now. Especially Kira is just way easier to heal the whole party. Yeah, we have a pretty big family. It's mostly because my grandma had 4. Or no, my grandma had 3, but my grandma had a sister who also had 3, I believe. So that's kind of, that generation is what made our family pretty big. And pretty much every kid out of that 6, all of them got married. Almost all of them had kids. So. So like my aunt and uncle that we're talking about moved to California. And then my other uncle moved to Georgia. And then my mom obviously stayed here in Ohio. So it was really just kind of us and my grandma on our side. But then my grandma's sister, all of their kids stayed in Ohio. So. But we don't see them as often. It's weird, like, when we have, like, Thanksgiving, it's really just my family and my grandma. But when we have, like, family reunions, it's, like, huge. It's, like, a lot of people. funny we're talking about this, given Thanksgiving is next week. Yeah, funnily enough, I don't think, that's weird that... It's weird how this is set up. Instead of having, like, this thing that lowers in, like, the middle area, there's just a separate one at each of the buttons. But yeah, my uncle met his wife in Hong Kong, but other than that, we don't have any other, like, foreign relatives in foreign countries, or anyone that, like, even moved to a foreign country, as far as I know. Wait, just take the thing. Not really, no. Like, we don't do Thanksgiving together or anything like that. I go see them all the time, but not my parents. I used to hang out at their house all the time as a kid. It's hard. It's hard with kids and money. Because I want to agree with you and say, like, kids aren't that expensive if you know what you're doing and you plan well and stuff. But they can be. It just all depends. It's all stuff that you'll never know until it happens. You just never know. Can buy everything secondhand and have everything already bought before the kid even gets here. And wait, is that where'd the this, right? Yeah. You can have everything ready and everything can go great and everything works out. You know. Everything's good. You can also have my son, who is in the NICU for 42 days, I think it was. And luckily that was all covered by the adoption agency, but that was a 6-figure number. So
fog underground?
Not fog, mist.
You can see the mist with your eyes?
No, with my
Where
arms.
it is thick enough, you may. The nether runs deep in this place.
So, is the mist dangerous?
Yes, but it is also innate. A dense mist allows the working of powerful magics.
I'll keep that in mind.
Magics.
Can't count on Vaughn to keep track of these things. That's for sure.
See, why I hate this character so much. Vaughn saved you. Like, he went all the way through everything to save you. And we just had that part where Vaughn was, like, teaching her things. And she's still like, yeah, I can't trust Vaughn for anything. He's a dummy. Like, get out of here, Penelo. How am I supposed to like Vaughn when Penelo just trashes him all game? Oh, we're supposed to like this character. Yeah, I mean, when it all comes down to it, like, be as prepared as you possibly can, but at the same time, don't let that stop you. Like Retro said, like, if you keep thinking I need to be more prepared, then you'll just never get there, you know. I was actually talking to my wife yesterday about we want to redo our kitchen, and we keep waiting because we want to have enough to redo the whole thing, because if we try to do parts, it's not really going to work out. Because, like, we want to move the sink, which means we have to tear out the cabinets, but then if we tear out the cabinets, we have to redo the flooring underneath the cabinets. If we redo the flooring underneath the cabinet, like, it's just the, you know, it's a never-ending cycle of things that run into other things. But I told her, like, if we keep waiting to try to save enough money to do the whole thing, we're just never going to do it. So it's like we have to find a way to balance it to where we actually can do what we need to do. Because if we just keep waiting, it'll just never happen, you know? So, it's kind of the same way with kids. Like, prepare as much as you can, buy as much as you can beforehand, save as much money as you can. But don't give yourself a number like, oh, I need $20,000 before I have a kid. Because, like, you'll probably never get there. You'll always try to... You'll use it as an excuse, you know, to, like, never do it. And it's the same way with a lot of things, honestly. It's the same thing with house projects or a lot of things. Even small things like video games. Like having a backlog. Backlog keeps getting longer and longer, and you keep feeling like you can't finish the backlog, so you never actually start the backlog because you feel like you can never finish the backlog. It's just like an endless cycle. Yeah, I need to talk to a contractor. The thing is, I talked to a contractor that we had over for something else, and I was like, what should I do to prepare for this? And he was like, start getting your own stuff. Like, buy a sink that you want, buy a this that you want, buy a that you want. And it's like, I want to do that, but at the same time, I don't want to do that. Like, it feels like I don't want to be sitting there with a giant sink, first of all. Second of all, I feel like if I buy a sink and then it's like a year before I end up actually putting it in, I'm going to hate that sink by the time I put it in. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even going to feel new anymore. It's going to feel like this old sink I've had for a year. Like, I kind of want to just do it. Like, I want to, like, have someone come in and just do it. I don't want to, like, slowly, because I feel like it's just never going to... I'm going to accrue all this stuff and never actually pull the trigger on the project and just have all this crap laying around and spend a bunch of money for nothing. So I don't know. I kind of want to just call someone and be like, just do it. But that's not a bad idea. Like, we could start with the floors. Maybe. I don't know how much of the floors we can do without tearing out the like, we need to do the floors underneath the cabinets, but that means tearing out the cabinets. And we tear out the cabinets, and that means we tear out everything. So, like, what's the plan? Maybe that's what I do. Maybe I say we're doing just the floors so that everything gets torn up. And I'm like, well, it's torn up. Guess we got to do everything. Just trick myself into doing it. I think I remember this guy. Isn't he Ifrit wannabe? It's that boy. Elias. Water doing big damage. Having a good time, is he? Did he get shell? Oh. Ooh, it oiled us. Probably not good. Dive Osler. Way to miss with that balance move. Oh yeah. I think balance does more damage if you're low health or something. That's why I used it. Did a ton of damage. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. I don't think this guy had any more health than the last guy. I think I could have one-shot him or close to. Quickening. Glad I didn't. Okay. Big out. Okay. Okie dokie. I love how it stops everything too. Unfortunate. Might not even kill him. Got unlucky. Oh yeah, it did nothing. We got there. We got a floating thing. So Belias is like Ifrit, right? Yeah. I don't remember summons at all. I just remember not using them.
In vain glory they arose, shouting challenges at the gods, but prevail they did not. Their doom it was to walk the mist until time's end. A legend of the Nemo.
My family tells a story of the Dynast King and an Esper. The story goes that in his youth, the Dynast King defeated a mighty Gigas, for which the gods took heed of him. Thereafter, it was ever bound to him in thralldom.
I knew some of those words.
So, all this time it's been here guarding the Dynast King's treasure?
Not so. The Esper is the Dynast King's treasure.
I'll get right.
That's your treasure?
In this Esper we now command rests a power whose worth is beyond any measure.
Is that so? Call me old-fashioned, but I was hoping for a treasure whose worth we could measure.
Yeah, that's why she didn't tell you what it was. Get wrecked. You'd think Balthair would be mad, but he's like not. Like, obviously Ash knew that from the beginning and tricked him into coming. But he's not even mad. He's like, okay, I guess I'll just whatever. Like, I still get this feeling that the party's just kind of following Ash because the story needs them to, you know? Pro tip, get a sprayer attachment for your toilet. This is where we're at, boys. We've reached peak dad chat. I think we're good. We just gotta revive. Hustler. Alright, at the risk of going even further into dad chat, has anyone ever tried cloth diapers? We never did, but I've heard some like absolute horror stories about them. If they work for you, then great. I've definitely heard some bad stories about them too. In the end, they're definitely gonna save you money. But man, pass me up on that one. Okay, I didn't need to know about your disposable diaper. Thanks. By this, return ye to the hall of the destroyer. By other means, return ye back to this place. Wow, what a riddle. What a puzzle.
What's wrong?
Your Majesty, we must go.
Sure to go as slow as possible.
What? Chancellor.
And she really does gasp in every single cutscene.
You will be avenged.
How did you get that? Okay. That cutscene was like a minute longer than it needed to be. Just close-ups on everyone's faces. What is it with this game and suddenly appearing rocks? This game likes its teleporting rocks and its turtles, I tell you what.